All right, Doug Smith, Duane Plapp.
Good
It
morning.
is the weekly. It's the weekly webinar. I'm in my car, Duane. I'm stuck in traffic.
Good to know that.
I, I was hoping. I was hoping to be at my location. I've got an 11:30 meeting. I thought I would be here, but I'm stuck in traffic. So uh, we're going to do this again in the car. So the topic we talked about last week was unstructured networking, meaning keeping your antenna up. If you're out at dinner, you're sitting in a booth, listen for conversations, listen for opportunities. And you gave an example of how you sold a really expensive boat one time just by keeping your ears open one time when you were out. So that's unstructured. What about structured networking?
Well,
Give us
structured
some ideas and tips.
well, structured network is also important. You need to belong to. I always tell my clients you can't belong to more than five groups. You need to have one group that what I call a structured type group, like a BNI chapter. You need to have one group that's kind of unstructured, like a chamber of commerce that's a little more casual, social group. You need to have one group as part of your, I would say, your profession. And then you have one group kind of a nonprofit, and then I have the fifth group get involved with. It's kind of an elective, like you have in college. You have elective,
Yeah.
but you can't be involved with more than five groups. And the reason why is that you spread yourself too thin. Most people probably are better, probably most effective between three and four groups max. I'm involved in three groups, okay? And the reason why is that I want you to mind the groups. The whole idea of getting involved with these groups is become a person of influence. If you're not a person of influence, then it's going to be tough to get referrals. The more of a person of influence you are, the more you mind the group, the easier it is to get referrals. Ironically, I had a coaching session this morning with a client I had in Miami, and we were actually talking about that. His business is going nuts. And the reason why he's been in a group for 3 years, he's now been an officer, and he's now become a person of influence, and people now are actually seeking him out to give him referrals. And the reason why is because he's a person of influence. People like to associate with people that are people of influence. And so the more you mind the group, the more referrals you're going to get. And if you belong to 40,000 groups, you're not minding the group. You're spreading yourself too thin. You don't get any. You don't become a person of influence.
Yeah, well, and that's one thing that I come across often. People brag almost about how many groups they're in. Oh, I went to 2 networking meetings today. I'm in 8 different events. I'm always networking. And my comeback to that is, well, gee, that's nice, but it's almost like when you're skipping a rock across the water. You're just, skipping. You're not really making any ripples. You're not making connections. The bigger ripples come from taking a big rock and dropping it into water. That's when you get the big ripples, and that's what
That's
you
when you
need to
get
do
wet.
is dig deep.
That's when you get wet.
That's
And
when you get wet. Exactly.
probably an interesting story. About 8 or 9 years ago, I'm coaching this one guy, and he was like you just said. He was bragging about how many events he was going to. But in those days, I was doing a lot of public speaking, so I was speaking at all kinds of different groups. And ironically enough, everywhere I'd speak, he was there. Oh wait, I'm speaking at and at one in 1 month I spoke at 12 places in 1 month. He was at every single place. So I actually was a keynote speaker like about a month later at the Regional Chamber of Commerce in Cincinnati. I was one of their speakers at their annual networking day, and they had all these booths set up and everything. And I happened to come across his booth, and his son had set the booth up. Okay, and his son was partners with him. So I'm talking to his son, and I'm going, "Well, how's your dad doing?" He says, "Duane, the son of a bitch is not listening to you." I said, "What do you mean?" He says, "He's networking everywhere and anywhere, and he's never got a referral. He's been doing this now for 2 years. He's never gotten a referral. He doesn't know everybody knows who he is, but no one gives him a referral." I said, he's not created the know, like, and trust. All he's created is the know. You got to
Yep.
get the trust to get a referral, and you got to dig deep. You got to become a person of influence. And I says, "I've been telling your dad that for 2 years." And he says, "I know." And he's not listening. And he says, "Our business is doing zero, and we're going to be out of business shortly if we don't get some referrals and some business. But my dad, I can't get it over his head. He's got to stop doing 40 million networking events, work 2 or 3 groups."
Yeah, I was invited to a new type of a networking thing. It was last night, so it was after hours. I thought, all right, I'll go stop by just to see. And it was To be kind, it was a waste of time. Um, I shook some hands. I worked the room, and I looked at it, and it's a paying networking type of a group. So, those free ones do nothing for me because no one has skin in the game. But I was watching the room, and I'm going, wow, these people are paying good money to be a part of this, and they have no clue what they're doing, how to do it. And two people who I talked to were telling me how they were in multiple networking organizations, not just a chamber, but multiple networking organizations. And I just had to shake my head because it's like you're only at the surface. Shaking hands and going, wow, I went and collected 40 business cards at this meeting and this meeting and this meeting and this meeting. Doesn't do a damn thing for you. Build relationships. It doesn't happen overnight, but you got to do that.
If you collect 40 business cards and I'm coaching you, I'm coming over to whip you. If you're only getting 5 business cards, if you're getting 40, you're all you're doing is spamming people, and they're spamming you. That's just ridiculous. The thing is, okay, is that there's 2 more things I want to mention. One is you got to pick the groups that are in your target market. You can't be this networking helter-skelter. You got to be picking groups that are actually your target market so that you can actually, when you do get a referral, it's actually a person that you can actually work with. Because if you're getting in groups that you don't, you're never going to grow your business. The second thing, okay, is that you got to be groups where I call it cross-pollinating. What I mean is this. So if I'm in a BNI chapter and I'm in the chamber, I want to have the BNI chapter where the members in that BNI chapter are also members of that same chamber. So I'm now interacting with the same people on a consistent basis. So all the groups that you're involved should allow you what I call cross-pollinate. So you can actually interact with the same people. So now if I'm seeing 2 or 3 times a week, okay, instead of 1 time a month, guess what? I'm developing a relationship twice as fast. Where if I'm only seeing you once in a while, okay, out of sight, out of mind, I'm probably never going to get involved. So I want you to get involved. Now, the other thing is this. You also then, when you get involved in these groups, you got to get on a committee or become an officer. You got to start working towards becoming that person of influence. Probably one of the best stories, like coaching a guy, he was a financial advisor, and financial advisors have a tough time getting referrals because everybody thinks that they're used salesmen. Okay. So you have a tough time getting referrals and developing that know, like, and trust. And I told him, the way to do it, I got him to join the chamber. I said, no, you got to get on a committee. So I got him on a committee. And you got to get 1 or 2 referrals once in a while. You got to be getting a little bit better person of influence. I said, now you got to run for an office. So he got on the chamber board. You got a couple more referrals. I said, now become president. You're going to get all kinds of referrals. He said, yeah, right. So I get him to become president. He calls me. He says, oh my God, Duane, I'm slammed. Because I'm getting referrals like you won't believe. You're right. That being that person of influence, people now seek me out. They're saying, hey, I got a guy you need to talk to. I got a guy you need to talk to. I said, I never used to get that. I said, because you're now a person of influence. People are now seeking you out. And the only way you get that is you got to get involved in the group. You got to mind that group. Like you said, you got to drop the rock, baby. I might be a new topic here. Drop the rock.
I like it. Well, it just makes sense, and that's the analogy that I used for years when I was sales manager for a group of radio stations. I used to tell my sales staff that it's like when you're just casually going about business, you're just skipping the rock across the top of the river. Those ripples quickly dissipate. You never know the rock was there. The big rock, when you drop it, you get wet, but those ripples are bigger and they go a long time and they last a hell of a lot longer. Be the big rock. And being back into networking and seeing how all of this, because I was out of networking for about 5 years. My job previous coming over to working with Matt, I was working with radio CEOs. There was nothing a BNI was going to help. So I got out of networking. So now that I'm back into it, all those negative type, issues people face are like jumping right out to me now. And the whole rock scenario makes sense. But these people will go, oh, I do 2 networking events a day. I do this. I do this. Yeah, whoopee. But the key word again, it takes work. It takes planning to say, what chamber do I join? What networking groups do I join? Who should be in my circle of influence? You don't just willy-nilly do it one day and say, I'm done. It takes planning. It takes work. And then once you're in it, you got to work your butt off to make those connections and be valuable.
Here we are. It's called network. WORK. It does not say net sit, net eat, net drink, net fool around, net socialize. It's network. So when you're networking, you're supposed to be doing something to help you grow your business and create some revenue. If you're not doing that, okay, why go? Stay home. Because this
Exactly. Well,
is not going to help you. You got to be networking, not playing, not hanging around with your best friend at the networking event, not sitting at the table with and having a cup of coffee and drinking a glass of beer. I hear all the time, "Well, I wait for free beer, free beer, got free beer. Go home. I'll tell you what. Here's $10. Go buy some beer. Get the hell off my life."
yeah. Well, if you're doing networking the right way, you'll get enough referrals. You can buy plenty of beer. So, hey, I tell you what, if you start using Drop the Rock and you make money off of it, I want a residual. All right, cool. Papa Platt, appreciate it. Good stuff. Structured and unstructured networking. It's so obvious that when people do it the networking the right way, it is so obvious. When they do it the wrong way, it's so obvious. Do it the right way and it works. So appreciate your input, Papa.
Ching, baby. Drop
You
the
and
rock,
Mama
baby.
Platt, you and Mama Platt enjoy the weekend in the water and the sunshine, and we'll talk again next week.
All right. Have a nice day now.
See ya. You too. Bye.